Hello, and welcome back to another interview from White Album 2. Today we're checking out an interview of Setsuna's voice actress singing career. Setsuna's voice actress being Madoka Yonezawa. If you've heard my other videos, you might know her through the White Album 2 radio show. It was the radio show which was done by the voice actresses of Kazusa and Setsuna. She's a really pleasant, upbeat person in real life, or at least how she portrays herself to be. So let's go ahead and read this interview with her. Through her many character songs, Madoka Yonezawa has garnered notice for her skill as a singer, leaving many fans anxiously awaiting her debut as an artist. Why did she produce a conceptual album as the first step in what is sure to be a memorable major artist career? We chased down her real intentions together with her profile. Becoming a voice actress. I was a nerd. Which I feel like is the case for a lot of fans of, I guess, fans of games, people involved in games, people involved in anime. I think it'd be hard to make it if you weren't a nerd. Yonezawa-san. This current release, Saizuri no Yume, Irotoridori no Sekai, A Twittering Dream, A World of Colorful Birds, is your first under your own name. But in 2012, you released a vocal album, White Album 2 Original Soundtrack Setsuna, under the name of Setsuna Ogiso, the heroine of White Album 2. Yes. Which is true. And an interesting thing to do as well, not putting your own name on it, but putting the name of the heroine. When you type Madoka Yonezawa into Google, the most popular recommended additional search term that comes up is songs. In other words, people are looking for your singing voice, and your songs really are quite good. Thank you. So my first question is, how did Madoka Yonezawa get so good at singing? Basically, I want to delve into your musical history. What artists did you like when you were in school? I liked artists like Glay and TM Revolution, but I was the type who was satisfied with listening to CDs. I think of fans as the type of people who go to shows and maybe start following the band on tour when they get really enthusiastic, but I was never like that. Which, to be fair, I don't personally go to a lot of concerts either. I would still consider myself a fan. People who go out and go to the concerts and follow them around, I would say are more like super fans. Then, what did you enjoy doing at the time? I liked drawing pictures. I was one of 3 sisters, and our father was good at art, so the 3 of us liked drawing together. I basically started drawing as soon as I was old enough to know how, and I also remember being happy whenever the adults around me praised my drawings. So back then, I wanted to become an illustrator. I know you post illustrations to your blog from time to time, and they're all quite good as well. But the Yonezawa-san we know today is not an illustrator, but a voice actress and a vocalist. What led you to pursue the acting path? In Osaka, my mother's hometown, she sometimes wrote songs for theatrical companies, and she was a piano teacher too. Thanks to that connection, I had plenty of opportunities to go and see plays starting at a young age. And they did make me think, oh, drama seems interesting. But that's only one reason. The other, bigger reason was that I was a nerd. She's so cute. Oh my god. Games, anime. For me personally, video games came first. But I loved them both. And when I was about in my 3rd year of middle school, the thought suddenly flashed into my mind, hey, I should be a voice actress. At the time, I was playing a lot of fighting games, so I was thinking about how I'd like to voice a character in a fighting game. Imagine What if they made White Album 2 into a fighting game? Or like Aquapaza, which has a lot of Aqua Plus characters. Throw that into a fighting game, and it actually works out pretty well. I wanted to be a singing voice actress. Was it your mother's influence that set you on the musical path? When I was young, I played the piano for a little while, but I wasn't really a serious student at all. I knew that if I learned from my mother, we would inevitably end up fighting. So I went to a different piano teacher, but I didn't like practicing very much, and I wound up quitting when I was in elementary school. Which so many Japanese kids do. Oh, it's really common in Japan for kids starting at elementary school to have some sort of extracurricular hobby. The parents will put them in something, whether that something is violin or athletics or piano or vocals, in addition to, a lot of the time, putting them in a private school or with a tutor. Very common for kids to have their time filled up with extra stuff like that. Because of my mother's work, we had a music room in our house. And apart from the usual instruments, we had congas and bongos, and even the thing that you turn in your hand like shaka shaka, shaka shaka, metal kibasa. So I tried all kinds of other instruments. I checked out the guitar, the drums, but unfortunately your mother's blood apparently didn't pass into me. But I loved singing, and I enjoyed practicing it too. So singing was really the only thing that I kept on with. Oh, you were getting vocal training? I wanted to be a singing voice actress rather than a vocalist. Someone who could sing as a voice actress. So from the time I started attending a specialty school for voice acting, I was taking vocal lessons. There were singing lessons available at the school, so I would go to the classroom that the teacher kept privately. And why did you want to become a singing voice actress? I admired actresses like Megumi Hayashibara-san and Yui Horie-san, who were also active as singers. There was also a part of me that wanted to try a little of everything. There are all kinds of categories within voice acting work. There's narration for TV programs, there's reading catchphrases for commercials. They may all be acting, but the approach for dubbing for Western movies and overseas dramas must be different from that for anime and games, I imagine. Western movie. I guess he's not wrong, but it's interesting to call out how the East and West are different in that sense, because I don't think it's all that different when it comes to dubbing cartoons and stuff. Maybe it's different for movies, but even then, I don't know. That's right. And apart from that, there are people who create their own theater troupes and put on plays or go into music. Personally, I came into this world because I liked video games and anime, but I may have gotten a little greedy. If I made the effort to become a voice actress, there were all these other ways to go. So I wanted to try lots of things, not just dramatic acting. Were you always the type with a strong desire to express yourself? I'm an introverted person, but I wanted to stand out, and I did have a desire to express myself, so I think my personality was a lot to handle. I personally don't have any recollection of this, but when I was really little, my mother was playing the piano at a party for some acquaintance of ours, and apparently I suddenly ran out in front of everyone and started dancing next to her. Kids will be kids, and kids love attention. Maybe it was watching my mother all the time that made me want to express myself too. I thought, my mother does something she really likes, music, as her job, so she must be really happy with the way she lives. That might be why I started thinking about how much I wanted to find work that excite me every day. And how lucky, honestly, to be able to do the thing that you love every day. Honestly, try to get a job in something you love. Try to get a job someplace you love, you know? If your dream is coming to Japan, make that your first step, do it. I can tell you, it's absolutely worth it to chase those dreams. From there, you find even more dreams, and you just keep carving out your life like that. You just gotta make that first step possible. I was free to take my own course. With a family like yours, did you face any opposition to your becoming a voice actress? None whatsoever. They were supportive, but they mostly watched over me from a comfortable distance, without meddling excessively. When I told them that I wanted to go to a specialty school for voice acting, they said, "Oh, really? If you want to do it, you should do it," and let me go. I'm sure there are plenty of parents who would object to their child aiming to become a voice actor, but my mother gave her support wherever it was needed. And apart from that, she believed in letting me take my own course, which I was very grateful for. At the school, there were plenty of girls who were better than I was, and even once I became a voice actress, I didn't break into the world immediately. The fact that I was able to take activities at my own pace in spite of that was probably thanks to my parents, I think. And honestly, having supportive parents in this kind of field of work is so important. Especially since, I don't think there should be any shame in it, but the fact that she has taken on adult roles is something that I think could be a point of contention for a lot of parents. But then moving on from that, there's obviously a lot more to the field, and there's a lot more to the character as well. And she was able to succeed in that. So, good for her parents for being able to support her through whatever she wanted to do. And now, both of your representative works, K-On! And White Album 2, are anime, featuring music as a theme. That's true. K-On! Involved both an acting audition and a singing evaluation. And for White Album 2, I did an audition in which I read the lines and then sang. Both roles were decided precisely because I had been carrying on with my musical activities, which made me very happy. Singing the character songs was a lot of fun too. Which, it's not in this interview, but in another interview which featured Yonezawa-san, she said she also tried out for Kazusa, but they ended up stopping her halfway. Like, she didn't get to finish that audition. Which is so scary to me. But she got Setsuna, so that's amazing. I think it's really fitting for her. But they were like, nope. Like, this is not a good fit for you. When she tried for Kazusa. For someone who wanted to become a singing voice actress, singing songs as K-On's Yui Hirasawa that garnered notice beyond the anime song scene, and making an album under the name of White Album 2's Setsuna Ogiso must have been enjoyable. Yes, whatever name they may have been under, the thought that there would be people listening to and enjoying my singing voice naturally increased the power I put into it. And I was happy to think that those songs might end up in CD format. I have a deep love for all of the roles that I play, so I always wish that I could play them forever. But the opportunity to act as those characters only lasts until the broadcast of the program ends, right? But if you have a CD of those character songs, the fans can easily visit that character whenever they like. That's an interesting thought. It's very interesting talking about that particular trait of media. Fans of shows like K-On! And White Album 2 will have bought the anime on DVD or Blu-ray, and may have watched them any number of times. But listening to the music allows you to come into contact with the work more easily. You can listen to music on a train or during breaks at work, so with character songs, simply having people listen to the music like that makes them remember the character, which is a great feeling. Then, Having said you wanted to be a singing voice actress, was it enough just singing character songs? No. While I was singing character songs, I also got approval from the office to get a band together on my own and do concerts. She is so aspirational. I love that for her. She's like, yep, here's my day job, and I do it, and I love it, and I want to do more. God, I love that. Good for her. In that way, you could say I managed to strike a balance between the two ways I wanted to express myself, in presenting my own music and in presenting myself through character songs. My major debut. Now, what do I do with it? That, in and of itself, is very interesting. On one hand, you were doing work that was very underground, with your voice reaching people all over the country through online TV. While on the other hand, you were also carrying out your own personal musical activities. I guess so. Although, this is unrelated to the discussion just now about categories of voice acting, but there are a fair number of voice actors who give their own concerts. So it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything particularly unusual. Also, performing with a band and doing promotions at events were both enjoyable. And it seemed like an important way of declaring my intention to start singing under my own name sooner or later. Which is good. Again, she wanted to specifically do this thing, and she's making it happen for herself. Also, it's great to be able to be like, hey, this is me, these are my characters, like, check me out, here I am. It's good promotion, like she mentioned. And now we have the album, Saizuri no Yume, Iro Toridori no Sekai, released under Madoka Yonezawa's name. How did you feel when you were approached about doing work as a solo artist? It wasn't as simple as, yay, my debut. It was more like, I quietly thought to myself, here goes. Oh, so modest. Even though you've started wanting to sing under your own name? At the stage where we were discussing my debut, I couldn't imagine what I was going to do. First of all, I feel like I was fairly realistic about it. What am I going to make? Let's make something satisfying. Let's make a quality album. If it had been like a character song where they came to me with a fully developed backdrop and character setting to work with and said, here, sing this song, then maybe I would have gone, yeah, I'll sing this, thank you. But now that you are finally going to sing under your own name, just singing something that was already fully arranged for you would have been a waste. Yeah. So I calmly asked myself, all right, what do I do from here? That must be very intimidating and scary too, because as a voice actress, you really are given a lot of the framework straight out, right? You are given a script, you're given a song, you're given some lyrics. So to start fresh on your own is a pretty scary experience. Or on the flip side, it's a really exciting experience, which is where I think that's kind of how she went into it, safely but excited. So, continuing on with Madoka Yonezawa's singing career, part 2. An album that encompassed the essence of Madoka Yonezawa. And in the resulting solo work, well, you didn't hold anything back. Throughout the album, the heroine chases after her escaped pet birds, encountering a colorful variety of songs, from fusion rock to invigorating guitar rock, and even electronica, giving us a story in a wide, fully realized world. My idea to make my debut the sort of CD that only a voice actress could make. I wanted to sing all kinds of songs and make use of the various voices at my disposal. And frankly, I have no idea whether I'll ever be able to put out another CD. So if I didn't do absolutely everything I wanted to do with this one, it could all go to waste. Don't be so pessimistic. Aw. Pessimistic, maybe. Humble, a little bit. I'm kidding, of course. But the first CD is important. So I wanted to pack in everything I was capable of, with a special focus on the idea that this was a CD I could make because I was a voice actress. The first, 5th, 9th, and 13th tracks are all narration, tracks with just spoken lines. And I think that's something I can do precisely because I do voice work. Why did you decide to make it a story? Right after work had started on the album, I had a discussion with Suzuki-san from Clumsy creative team, who did the sound and story production, and decided that while I wanted to sing a variety of songs, I didn't just want to jam everything I wanted in there without any meaning or reason. In order to give the album a meaning, we wanted a coherent story concept to run through the whole thing. But not like a character song. This story needed to be something that expressed Madoka Yonezawa as a person. So, during this meeting with Suzuki-san, he said, if someone were to ask, what is the essence of Yonezawa-san? How would you answer? Let's make this album something that aligns with that image. Which is really interesting too, because kind of thinking about, albums from the West specifically, there's not usually a story that runs through the whole CD, right? You might have songs that express stories of their own, which are really beautifully made. But I have yet to think of a single CD. I can't think of any that come to mind that just kind of tell a story over the timeline of a bunch of songs. I don't know. It's an interesting idea that they had. So, what is the essence of Madoka Yonezawa? The first answer that came to me was birds. But apart from that, I wasn't really sure. So I figured that if I started out by just writing down everything about my personal history, my personality, and so on, something would start to take clearer shape as my essence. I took what I wrote to the next meeting, and Suzuki-san said, let's make all of these different sides of you into a story. Looking back, it hasn't been all good. Oh, geez, what a flip of mood from oh yeah, it's all of me, it's amazing, I got my album, and then it's well, hasn't all been good. But that just kind of ties into the other side of happiness from White Album too, just saying. Then, the lyrics of each song on the album were made to fit your past and present self, even though you didn't write them yourself? Yes. So, it seems like you had a lot of mixed thoughts about the past and present. You can tell? I think anyone who reads the lyrics booklet will be able to tell. You have the heavy fusion rock of Kimi to Sekai Elegy of the world with you, with elegy suggesting a lamentation or a funeral song. And the first lines are, I looked away, longing for something I didn't have. While the bright guitar-focused rock song, Ashita no Shiori, bookmark for tomorrow, says, I'm still singing today, in the same room where I always was, seeking hope in tomorrow. Oh, this interviewer really has the lyrics down pat. That's cool. As I was looking back on myself, I realized that my life has been full of both good things and bad. And this is the result. Out of the 9 non-narration tracks, the first one, track 2, is meant as the opening theme of the story, while the last one, track 12, is the ending theme. The 7 tracks in between create a story that was meant to show my many thoughts and selves. Which is true for every person. The happiest person in the world has had bad things happen to them. It's just how you work around it and how you deal with things and how your outlook on life survives and continues and grows. That's what makes the happiest person in the world, I think. Meeting birds of many colors in a parallel world.
Then, with Kimi to Sekai Elegy as the opening theme, and Heartful Dreamer, a bright, clear pop tune as its ending theme. Does that mean you make it out all right in the end? In Heartful Dreamer, you sing, I know I'll be able to fly tomorrow. And in the final narration track, Saisho, beginning, you say, tomorrow is going to be a beautiful day. Aw, cute. Right. But there were a lot of ups and downs on the way to that mindset. Also, this is really more like a parallel world, rather than all of these things happening steadily. For example, Bo Soka, Flower for Forgetting Feelings, uses lyrics about the 4 seasons to tell a story about lamenting feelings that one cannot express. On the other hand, Rengoku Scarlet, Purgatory Scarlet, is about learning to like yourself and spreading your wings, even if you don't have much self-confidence. Each song on the album has its own theme bird. But this is a story in which singing about my past and present self equates to meeting birds who has the same feelings as I do. And I sing the ending theme of the album, Heartful Dreamer, after each of those doubts and worries has been erased. Such a beautiful concept. I love that. Like you said, each song takes a certain bird as its theme. Bo Soka has the bullfinch, Rengoku Scarlet has the pink cockatoo, Jitai Smile, Mimic Smile, has the peafowl, and Lynx has the cockatiel. How did you go about choosing these birds? In general, I just went along with the image of whatever bird came to mind for the story of each song. For example, I find the name of the bullfinch, Usa, or lie, interesting on its own. And as an actual word, it has its own meaning. Which is something that doesn't really make sense outside of Japanese. Like, you wouldn't get that thematic understanding. But reading it here in the interview, now you can go back and listen to that and be like, oh, I get it. So I put it with Bosoka, which is about lying to your own feelings. The pink cockatoo for Rengoku Scarlet is considered one of the most beautiful birds in the world. So why did you attach the most beautiful bird in the world to a gothy, slightly harsh hard rock song like Rengoku Scarlet? Well, this one may be obvious, but the ones who call the pink cockatoo the most beautiful people in the world are the people around it, rather than the bird itself. So I thought there could be some cockatoos who don't see themselves that highly. That's why I applied it to Rengoku Scarlet, which is flashy musically, but is about lacking self-confidence. Very cool. Gosh, I feel like reading about the songs boosts your appreciation for the song so much. Like, this is so cool. I really like birds. Now, for the most basic question, why did you give each song a theme bird? Because I really like birds. It's true. If you go on Yonezawa-san's Twitter, as well as her blog, you will see lots of birds. She has her own. They're very adorable. That makes sense. You even used your pet bird, Kinako-chan, to advertise your debut. Madoka Yonezawa announces major debut through spokesbird, Kinako-chan. So what made you like birds so much? Also, Kinako-chan is specifically brought up in a lot of the White Album 2 radio tracks. So if you're listening to that, you'll get to know her bird a little bit more. Not really, but sometimes she's put in as an extra, which is adorable. The apartment building where I grew up generally didn't allow pets, but birds were fine. So I got a pet bird when I was in elementary school. Many Japanese apartments don't allow pets. It's so sad. But they don't want pets wrecking up the place. So at first, you just wanted a pet rather than a bird specifically, and birds happened to be the animal you could have where you lived? Was it like that? At first it was. But then I realized, whoa, birds are adorable. And we continued to have birds after that. My family actually still has a budgie. And you have Kinako-chan yourself. After I moved to Tokyo, I resisted buying one for a while because I wasn't sure I'd be able to take care of it properly on my own. But an old friend and fellow bird-loving voice actress of mine, Kumiko Ito, recommended that I get one because she had one herself. That was when I bought Kinako, who is a monk parakeet. My family home has a budgie, like I mentioned, but budgies are a bit small. So I went for a bird that has a little more bulk and the ability to talk. Aww, make the bird into a voice actress. Is bulk an important thing for you when it comes to pet birds? I wanted something that would feel nice and heavy sitting on my shoulder. Something that would make me go, oh, there's someone there. Since budgies are so small, you can barely feel them when they're sitting on your shoulder. That's why I chose a monk parakeet, which is larger than a budgie. But really, all birds are wonderful to look at, not just Kinako. The feathers lie so nicely, and their heads are smooth, like an octopus, which is really cute. Like an octopus? What? No, I would never compare a bird's head to an octopus. Also, how many people have felt octopus heads in their lifetime? That's such a weird comparison. I love it. Try smelling a parrot sometime. Then could you just adopt an octopus? No, that's not the only wonderful thing about birds. For example, birds have their eyes on the sides of their head. So when one is looking straight at you, it looks like its eyes are protruding out, which makes it look a little silly and also adorable. That's why they tilt their heads when they're looking up and down. I didn't actually know that. I see. Since its eyes are pointed directly horizontally, if it were just to look straight up and down, its line of sight would stay to the sides. Yes, exactly. The way they move their necks to match the direction they're looking is very charming, and they smell nice too. What? You mean the bird cages aren't the strongest smelling things in the pet shops? The cage doesn't smell if it's maintained properly. It's common knowledge among bird lovers that parrots smell nice, to the point that there's even a community around their smell on the internet. Their backs smell especially good. It's a really odd fact. But the same thing goes for a lot of things, like rabbits, rodents. Everyone's like, oh, they smell so bad, but they don't. It's just you have to clean their cage. You have to clean up their mess. It's not like a dog that goes to the bathroom outside. They literally go to the bathroom in their own cage. So obviously you got to clean the cage often. I get the feeling that a really giant bird, like an ostrich, would have different smells for different parts of its body. But Kinako-chan is about 130 grams. But the smell is completely different depending on the spot. Birds have oil all over their bodies because if they get wet, they can't fly. But that oil is produced from their backs. That's what smells really good. I've actually bought a perfume called Miwaku no Senaka, captivating back, that smells like parrots. It's a great scent, so you should definitely smell it for yourself when you get the chance. Understood. I've got to smell a parrot someday, I guess. I never have, and I've never thought of it either. Now, a sense of burning quietly. And so, together with your beloved birds, you have completed this album that reviews your past and present. What will you do with the hope for tomorrow that you found in the album? What will I do? First, I'd like even more people to listen to the album, I think. What's the best way to get more people to listen? Pray, maybe? Sell albums, sell! If that could make albums sell, then I'm sure every musician all over the world would be praying for something right about now. Guess I'll just play a show then. You guess? I'm not kidding about that though. Since I've come all this way to make a good album, I want everybody to hear the songs live and in person. Do you have any particular visions for the type of show you'd like to do? I want to have birds flying free inside the venue. I have a feeling that their droppings would get to be a problem with the audience. That would be really nasty. You don't think people would go, "All right, this must mean luck is on my side," and I'll become bird fans? Unfortunately, no. I guess you're right. The thing is, to this point, I've performed White Album 2 related events on the stage of Tokyo International Forum Hall C. And I've done K-On! Shows, the Saitama Super Arena and Yokohama Arena. But that was probably because I had the power of the anime themselves behind me. So I want to challenge myself and see what kind of show I can put on by my own power. Just like how I didn't flip out and go, "Yay, my debut!" Right now, I'm at the stage of thinking about what kind of artist I'm going to become from here on out. It's a feeling of burning quietly. And that is the end of our Madoka Yonezawa interview. She is so good. She is so modest and, I don't know, modest, happy, energetic, excitable. It's really cool. So, I hope you learned a little bit about Madoka Yonezawa-san today. Thank you so much for joining me on this interview from White Album 2, and I'll be back doing more interviews in the future. So until then, hope you take care. See you!